Whenever you need to make a decision in life, be it choosing a career path, a job, or when you go through a personal crisis like a family bereavement, it's important to know yourself and to know what your real potential is. Your real potential can be realized when you find something you can do amazingly well with minimum effort on your part. To find your true calling, the path that can help you realize your potential, it's important to get to know yourself very well, or as Carl Jung said, to go through the process of individuation. Individuation is a process of personality transformation, of bringing the subconscious parts of yourself into your personality, becoming a whole. Carl Jung was one of the founders of psychoanalysis, which is a set of psychological theories and methods aiming to release repressed emotions and experiences. He made huge contributions to the fields of psychiatry, anthropology, archaeology, literature, philosophy, psychology, and religious studies. Jung's philosophy is called Jungian philosophy, and some of his most important books are Psychology of the Unconscious, Man and His Symbols, The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, Modern Man in Search of a Soul, The Psychology of the Transference, Memories, Dreams and Thoughts, and The Relations Between the Ego and the Unconscious. Jung's mentor was the famous psychologist Sigmund Freud. However, he split from him, founding his own school of psychology called analytical psychology. Analytical psychology focuses on the present as well as mythology, folklore and cultural experiences with the purpose of integrating the human consciousness. One of the most important aspects of this analytical psychology which Jung founded is the process of individuation. Jung considers the process of finding the self and realizing your potential as an important task in human development. To help you understand how to use Jung's teachings to realize your full potential in life, today we bring you 8 lessons that you can learn from the philosophy of Carl Jung. Number 1. Don't let others define you. Jung said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you." Jung departed from Freud in many ways. One way was that he didn't consider that all psychological diseases come from some childhood traumas, or that he was not for the concept of the superego, which for Freud represents the voice of conscience, the voice of other people inside ourselves. It's formed in childhood based on what parents and educators told us regarding what's good and what's bad, and who we should be. Jung believed that the internal voice which demands us to behave in one way or another can have many different causes and isn't limited to biological ones or to past events from childhood or teenage years. Jung thought that our behavior is also influenced by future aspirations and by the way we see ourselves. When we don't have a realistic and positive outlook of ourselves and of our future, we're weaker, with less resistance to face the possible aggressions from other people or from the environment, and these can make us vulnerable to psychological diseases. The world constantly demands us to be in one way or another, and sometimes it gets aggressive with us, testing our limits. What we need to do is to diminish its voice and increase the voice of our own self. From the moment we're born, we're somehow forced to copy others, starting even before our school years. If your self is weak, then you'll listen to them. You'll do whatever others demand you to do. However, in time, you will grow bitter, full of resentment and regrets that you didn't follow your own way of being. Don't try to copy anyone, but rather reflect first on what you really value in life. Do you value more security or freedom? Are you more competitive or collaborative? Are you an explorer, or do you feel better following a routine schedule and so on? Don't pretend to be someone you're not. For example, don't try to force yourself to appear to be outgoing when in truth you're an introvert. This will only damage you in the long run. You need to always question yourself, who you really are, what your likes and dislikes are, and who you really want to be in the future. Only after you've been through this introspection would you know what actions to take and how to impose your will on the world instead of letting the world overwhelm you with its demands. No matter your age, you should still invest effort in finding your own style, your own voice, your own behavior, and your own way to conduct your life. To live a good life, you need to live a life which represents you. Without knowing what makes you unique, you can't know what kind of activities you should pursue that can help you reach your true potential. Number 2. Understand your passions. In the words of Jung, a man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. As one of the founders of psychoanalysis, Jung understood how important it is for his patients to have the courage to face the subconscious elements, which are usually repressed desires. For example, sexual desires or desires to harm somebody else, or a desire for performing an activity that can put you in an embarrassing situation. Only when we have this courage to face them can we heal ourselves from them. When we run away from what upsets us, what makes us uncomfortable or scares us, that thing will come back to haunt us even worse, affecting our behavior and increasing our anxiety. These subconscious elements are usually related to repressed desires or passions. We usually repress them because they're either immoral and unacceptable from society's point of view, or they're too overwhelming and we're not able to cope with them at all. When we have an aloof attitude towards life, when we're passive, reacting slowly to external events, avoiding social contacts, we're usually running away from our passions, or, in other words, from strong emotions which affect our behavior, especially when they're repressed. For example, you might have a passion for communicating with other people. You might have the potential of becoming a great public speaker, but you have a childhood trauma. One adult made fun of you and your way of speaking when you were a child, and this event made you fear opening yourself up to other people and risk being embarrassed again. The best way to heal from such anxieties and discover your real passions again is to practice more journaling, analyze your dreams, get to know yourself better, be more forgiving with yourself, make time for things you really care for, learn to overcome your fears step by step. Looking at the given example, you could take some lessons in public speaking and maybe discover just how talented you are and how unjustified your fear was. Get more in touch with what makes you feel alive and more knowledgeable about the inner workings of your inner passions. Number 3. Focus on who you want to be. To quote Jung, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Although Jung was deeply interested in mythology and even came up with the concept of collective unconscious, which is the part of our unconscious that's common to all human beings, deeply influencing us in many aspects of life without our awareness, he was for a stronger development of our conscious capabilities to decide our own fate. It's also possible that precisely because of knowing how vulnerable we are to the unconscious elements, Jung emphasized on the importance of choosing who we want to become and integrating all the unconscious elements into this identity, even the components of our immature psyche, for example, some attitudes that we picked up in childhood, like a constant desire for love and attention or the fear of abandonment. We need to integrate them over time into a well-functioning whole, which is our individuality. This process of integration Jung called individuation. What defines us is the end goal towards which we aim, this being the well-functioning whole, what we choose to become. Having a goal regarding the person we wish to become is extremely important for the good functioning of our psyche. If we don't know who we want to become, how we want to represent ourselves in the face of the world, we'll just go with the flow. One danger in living your life as it comes, without putting your will to work, without putting effort into thinking through when taking important life decisions, is that you might find yourself in a situation that completely copies a traumatic episode from your past. When we leave our life to the unconscious driver, it leads us back to something unresolved from early times, and it's usually a negative experience that we need to find an answer for. For example, if you come from a dysfunctional family in which you were neglected or perhaps even abused, if you just follow your instincts or your heart in choosing your life partner, you risk ending up in the same type of household, copying the same situation. Following your instincts blindly and not using your reason into taking decisions that prevent you from making the best decisions in life and from realizing your potential. The immature element of the psyche in this example is the fear of abandonment, and this fear makes you search for the same pattern of dysfunctionality. To overcome this fear, you need to have a clear vision of where you really want to end up. Make a clear and rational plan on how to get there, and follow through, not giving too much attention to your doubts and fears. Thus, while focusing on who you want to become, you integrate the components of your immature psyche into this new personality who isn't afraid anymore. To avoid being a victim of your fears and your past, you need to spend more time with yourself, reflect on your past experiences, think what they can teach you, understand that they don't define you. What defines you is who you want to become. Then you have to decide who you really want to become and strive in real life to be that person.